Hey there, Foothill. Hope you're having a good week. I am coming to you from my backyard here, where I recently picked up a hobby, maybe like most of you during this time of quarantine. I had the desire and definitely the need to do some much needed gardening and landscaping in our backyard. So I decided last week to prune our citrus trees. And as I was pruning them, some of the branches I had to even cut off. And while I was doing this, my 5-year-old son Judah asked why I was destroying the lime tree. Now he was genuinely concerned, and he was asking a good question, but maybe for a different reason than you might expect. A couple months ago, pre-COVID, when we were in the thick of school schedules and Little League practices, and we were doing batting practice here in the backyard, I had to have a talk with Judah about whacking our citrus trees with his baseball bat. He had completely destroyed some of the branches on our lime tree, and it's off camera. It's pretty pathetic. He almost completely destroyed it, basically. And I explained to him how we treat trees, and what he was doing could kill the tree, and it could cause for fruit not to grow in the future. So this is the context as to why he is now asking me why I am destroying the lime tree, right? He's probably thinking in his head, you hypocrite, I just hit it with a bat and you're here cutting branches off. But I explained to him the pruning process, and I explained to him how when you have the right knowledge about what you're doing, you have the right tool, that it's actually good for the tree and good for the health and the growth of the fruit. And I shared with him that a baseball bat is not the right tool to use to prune a tree, and you can't just take your bat and just whack a tree and think that it would be okay. So I thought back to this little exchange that I had with Judah as I was reading through John 15 this last week. And in verses 1 through 11, Jesus lays out this illustration of a vine dresser, and the vine's branches. And he starts by saying in verse 1 that he is the true vine, and that his father, God, is the vine dresser. Now there's so much just in this first verse that we could unpack and talk about, but what I really want to focus on is the simple illustration that Jesus lays out here of being the vine, being the life source. He provides the substance to the branches, the life to the branches, to us. But also God, the Father, is the vine dresser. And we see in verse 2 the role of the vine dresser. The vine dresser does two things to the branches. He cuts them off and takes them away completely from the vine, but he also prunes the branches that they would bear more fruit. Now, when a vine dresser is looking to prune something, he just starts clipping things away. Things that are maybe taking nutrients from a branch, things that are killing the branch, things maybe that are blocking the sunshine from reaching the branch. He cuts, he clips, he prunes, he does all of these things that the plant, that the tree would bear more fruit. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel much like my 5-year-old. I often find myself questioning the pruning methods of God, the vine dresser, in my life. There are things before COVID-19, quite honestly, that I thought I couldn't live without. Things that if they were taken away would bring me ruin. And the encouragement I see in this passage is that God is a good vine dresser. He is strengthening me. He is strengthening you and preparing us for the opportunity to bear more fruit. By his pruning, he's revealing to us the things that maybe we were depending on and how they cannot sustain us. And Jesus says in verse 5 that whoever abides in him, it's that person that bears much fruit. And then he says, for apart from him, we can do nothing. So Jesus is saying that the life-giving nutrients that keeps the branch alive does not come from any other source than the vine. And you may feel like your branches have been hacked by my son Judah, by a 5-year-old with a baseball bat. There's no rhyme or reason why God is allowing this cutting and this pruning to happen in your life. But I want to encourage you that God's shears do not make mistakes. He is pruning those who abide in the vine, who find that their substance, their strength, their source of power in Jesus. It's through this pruning and abiding that brings to fulfillment the beautiful plan that Jesus will say in verse 11, that he is doing all this so that his joy may be in us and that our joy may be full. So I want to encourage you, abide in the vine, receive the pruning of God with hope. God has a plan of flourishment for your life, and he works all things together for the good of those who love him and those who abide in his Son.